Okay, it's time to build up some image planes. And for this portion of the lesson, we're going to look at doing some model sheets slash image planes. There's a bunch of different kinds. We're going to still use the little mushroom myconid character. I've opted to remove the cap completely. We had a big giant cap. It was like a super sombrero, like disc size. You can see here from some of the originals. And when I rigged it and animated it, it is so much movement. If the neck even moved just a little bit, it was going all over the place. And so I may come back to that for a more simple graphical, like a more of a glider. And in the story idea concept for this character, you can actually morph his cap and change it out and for different pieces. But when I put it on the rig, it simply was just too much weight and it wasn't aesthetically pleasing. I think it also had practical physical implications when we built the physical model. So remember, I have the curriculum and the videos designed for character construction, whether it's for a maquette, whether it's for digital for a video game, 3D or 2D, and for a posable stop motion puppet. So you're getting every little bit of everything in this demonstration. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is going to create a new file, and for this one in particular, I made this one 2048 by 2048 with 144 pixels per inch. So if we did this by inches, that's about 14 by 14 inches. Not to practical size. This particular video is for model sheets to bring into both ZBrush and Maya. So we're going to drop these in there and sculpt from them. So the actual physical print size is not as important. We can reduce those types of measurements, or we can modify that. The other thing we'll do in here is go into the preferences in Photoshop. Let's see, wait, I got to get out of that dialog window, of course. Edit preferences and go to our grids and slices. And from here, you'll see I did the grid every 256 pixels. And we had a custom line weight. You could do dashes, you could do dots. I leave mine as dashes. Subdivisions at 8, so the old divisible by 8 texture map size number is what worked. You have the slice color. I've been unable to really change the color of that. I think the units and rulers are right here. I was looking at the column sizes. But yeah, I think that's fine for now for what we're getting. Here's the grid right here. So you can see, there we go. There's the grid to turn it like it's slightly red or ever so slightly green or even like a yellow-ish color. You'll have a lighter in the green. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that for now. I'll come back to it later. So again, that's edit preferences, pull your preferences up, go to get guides, grids, and slices. And what's really important here, if I hit Control-Shift-N, I'm going to go fast. You could pause this and write down notes, because if you're new to Photoshop, I'm giving you the Photoshop Ninja trick. So this is going to be our key lines. So we want to, if I hit the B key for brush, and then D, which is the default for foreground background, X swaps foreground and background, and that reminds me, let's turn on our keystroke. Okay, I got the keystroke visualizer on for you also. I'll call the keys out still by habit, but just so you kind of know what we're doing here. And I do have my tablet as well. So for the tablet, I have it, I put on a new layer that's called keylines, and we'll go in here and use a small black tip. So if I hold down Shift, let's see, I could probably zoom in just a little bit too. Makes this a little bit easier on myself. Go B, brush, start at the top, hold down the Shift key, go all the way down. Now, if I want that to snap to the grid, what I would do is go into View, and there's a snap, snap to. We could turn the snap on, and that way I don't have to try very hard to get that to snap to the grid directly. But I can make the pixel size nice and small. And start at the top here, hold down Shift, go all the way down, and then also do the floor. I'll bring it up a little bit higher here, so we'll assume maybe that we want to do the feet below here, have some room when we build this out. Control Shift N, and we'll call this one gradient. And for put that behind the key lines. And so for the key lines, I usually go in here and we'll drop the opacity down a notch. If I want to hide the grid, I Control H, turn that on and off. And I don't really think we need, well, I'm going to do some registration marks, I guess, but in case we did want to print these out. But the gradient, usually if I hit the G for gradient tool, if I click on that, it's going to open up, it's going to go foreground to background. It's the basic one. If I click on that, and let's see where to go. Strange, is it hidden? So gradient's over here. There we go. So here's our basic gradient. Double click that. And we should be able to change and edit the gradient. I don't know why the gradient editor is not popping up. Let's find out. Okay, so I have the gradient window open here, and I'll just click on the basic one right there and go new gradient. And this is the name black to white. We'll go image plane, gradient. And we're going to go pure black to pure white. So I'll click on the box here. I forget the upper one and the lower one, the nuance here. We'll do the upper one. We'll go up a little bit to really dark gray. And for the white, instead of going pure white, click on that box and make sure the saturation levels always go. I like HSB or HSV. Go a little light gray. There we go. And we'll hit OK. That should bring it in. And see. Where did it go? Okay, I guess instead of hitting OK, I should hit the new button. That would have made some sense. I put it into basics, maybe. Here we go. No, even if I hit the... Oh, well, this interface changed a bit on me since I really played around with it much. Should go up here. Okay, so we got our image plane gradients selected. No, still not selected. There we go. Click one time, and I usually go dark to light, or you go light to dark. So click, and as I drag, it's going to go to diagonal. Hold Shift to straighten it out. There we go. So, and then hit Enter. And let's dock that back up here. Gradients should be fine. And hit back to the zoom tool, zoom in and out, Control H to hide. There you go. So this will help a little bit. If I hit G again and pull upward, you'll see, and hold Shift as I go dark to light. So whatever fits your fancy. If you look at the backgrounds in both Maya and in ZBrush, you'll see you have a gradient background that helps you with some depth perception and kind of break up the form that you may be using when you're building this out. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab some of the scans. You should have scanned in your, if you have a drawing. If you don't have a drawing, pencil or pen or whatever, a traditional drawing to scan in, that's no problem. So I brought in the file that I had everything dropped into. So I just dropped these in and named them. So I have front, the side anatomy overlay. And there's the one with the front with anatomy. This one is called front with anatomy overlays. As you can see in the tracing paper, I had the two papers stacked up on top of each other inside the scanner. Here is the front anatomy. There is the side anatomy. Here's the wireframe. There's the foot. Here's the clothes. And here is going to cut those up into different layers all by themselves, so I could kind of focus on differently. There's the arms with palm forward. And here's the first ink attempt of the head with some detail that you can see scans much better. So the light fast, the reason we use the animation pencils is it's easy to get rid of them and to clean this stuff up. So if I take this model here and we drop it in, we'll go ahead and go to this image, hit Control A to select all, Control C to copy. We'll go over here and I'll make a new layer, Control Shift N, and I'll call this myconoid guard. This was like the sentinel type. And a Control V will paste it directly in there, and so it can zoom in and out. So these are all scanned at roughly a similar size. So we'll see if what kind of problems that presents with our registration marks from the pencil, at least. So we'll see there's the front view. So yeah, it's not going to be perfectly the same size because I was dealing with different sized scanning papers. But what you could do with this one here is set it on to multiply. So you typically just use multiply to bring the darks down, and it makes you can see all the light areas transparent, right? So V to move, space bar to slide, pan around, and then Z, and then just slide left to right to zoom in and out as long as you have scrubby zoom turned on. So if I go back into normal, what I would do with each of your images is I would actually, you could just drag images straight in from your folders if you want to. So I can show you that as well. So over here, I have my folder of images. So I'll come over here and I go Control Shift N, and we'll call this one armature underscore wire. So this is a wire-based one, not ball and socket, not with the brass stock. And so we have a new layer there, Control Shift N, another new layer, drag that in, and then as we drag in the armature wire one, there we go. You'll see it has this symbol. This is means it's connected directly to. I think it's still called a smart object. But if I hit Enter, it's now in there. You'll see the little smart object thumbnail is still there. And now I just hit Control E, and that'll drop that down into the layer below. So now have this on its own layer, which I can save. So we'll call it armature wire. But I'll go ahead and delete that one. After you get it in there on its own layer, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see well. And I hit Control L or Control M. Control L is your levels. And right up here, the really brightest super brights. If you grab this white point and bring it over, you'll see it's going to kind of white out a lot of that background as well as some of the blue grid lines. If I grab the darkest dark point and bring it over, you see it's going to darken some of those dark lines. And you'll see where the red and blue made the purples. It it will definitely have a giant impact on how it looks. You can also grab the middle point here, and you can push the whole thing to be a little darker, or you can push the whole thing to be a little whiter. So just play with that a little bit. Let me cancel out of there, and let me duplicate it. Control J will duplicate whatever, or make a copy of whatever layer you have selected. And let's try the two different ones. So I'll hit Control M for curves. First is the other one. Here's the white point. It gives you a histogram, so I bring that up, curve histogram, excuse me, and that's going to get rid of a lot of the lightest lights. And then if I grab down here the dark point and bring it down, it's going to bring in some of the darker darks. And for both of these, I can bring it in closer to the actual point. You could also put another point down here to kind of preserve some of the mid-range colors that you really want. Keep those on the line, so it kind of pushes those up. You can also grab this point here and drag it all the way this way, so that'll kind of get rid of some of that white. That's kind of a bad demo. That's okay. So we'll go to the other one down here. So Control J one more time. Another copy. So Mike and Edgardo 1, and we'll call this one leveled, LEV, and I'll hit Control L for the levels. We'll redo the other one. So we bring out the whites on the side there, darken up some of the darks. There we go. And then if we want to push that point a little darker, a little lighter. Now if I bring this white point way over, you'll see it turns a background paper pure white, but you might lose some detail that maybe you needed. So that's really your call. I'm going to go ahead and leave it that way because I'm going to draw on here some more. And then I'm going to hit Control T. And as I bring in the control point, you'll see it's defaults now to be constrained, but if I hit Shift, it's going to let me warp around. So just be aware of that. And I'll hit Enter. Go to M for Marquee Tool, and I just want to get rid of some of this pure black mess that's over there on the side, and same thing down the side here. Get rid of the borders, basically, of where we had scanned it at. Control D to deselect, V to move. You see if we have anything at the top or the bottom here. It's looking pretty good. I think if you weren't sure, you could go into your color picker and then interactively drag on here. And you'll see this is pure white. If I go on to the background, you'll see that brightness is still 100%. So we've effectively gotten rid of any of the whites in there. So I'm hit OK. Another thing we could do with this is desaturate it so the colors kind of serve their purpose. So if I went ahead and duplicated that, let me get that one out of the way. Grab this one here. It is set to normal still, and I hit Control U. That's your hue, saturation, and value. Those are all up here, image and mode. So let's just make sure you know where those are. So if we go image, excuse me, adjustments, that's your levels. Control L, Control M is curves. Those are the first two we looked at. Your Control U, the one I just did, was your hue, saturation, value. I usually use that one over color balance. Control I to invert and desaturate. It's easy enough for me just to go Control U and completely take away any saturation. There you go, and you see you get left with a nice kind of mid-gray graphite pencil mark, and you see how clear the armature is on there. My goodness, that's really clear. And I can't remember if I had it drawn on its own layer or not. I think maybe I did not. But we can delete that and get rid of that too. So let me just grab all of this, Control G to group it, and we'll call this the Myconoid Guard. GRP is my habit from Maya. All right, hide that, and we can start down here at the bottom. So hit Control H again. We'll get that back up again. We'll start at the side anatomy with the overlay. Let's see, we have another side anatomy that's clear. Yeah, let's just stick with that one. So we'll start with the front one and drag that over. And I just want to make sure that our line that was drawn in here, make sure that line is perfectly in line with the vertical key line at the top there, and also with the line down here at the bottom. I could bring it up like that. This gives me two grid spaces, major grid lines on the bottom with the space. If I look at the top here, it's down to about 1.5. So whichever way works, I could bring it back down. Gives me a little bit more room on the top. And we could also scale this thing. But for now, I think I'm just going to leave it like that. And Z to zoom in, scrubby zoom, left to right, back to V move tool, and I can go tap it left to right like that, and then up, down, just using my arrow keys. And you see my lines off just a tiny, tiny bit right there. Looking okay over there, so we'll go back down again. Yep, and mostly the graph paper lines are more accurate, I think, than my pen lines, right? So there's the other one right there. And there's the other one there at the graph paper. So if I go over, it's just right on the graph paper there. Left to right arrow, right? So just make it close. It's be like microscopic. We're not doing a machining lesson on this one. But we could do the same thing for this one now. So we could go Control L for levels. We can bring out some of the whitest whites like that. And we could bring in some of the darker colored lines. There we go. And I'll hit OK. That should be ready to rock and roll. If we want to, we could put this on to multiply and back to normal. And we could also go Control U if we are now ready to get rid of any saturation. Oh man, some of those splatter marks are really ugly in there. Okay, I'm just going to leave it for now. So we'll go to the front side, or excuse me, the side view. And same thing, we'll bring it down over here. If I want, I could lower the opacity or put it on multiply a little bit. And yeah, I'll just use the arrow keys. And let's see how accurate our registration marks are with this one. Looks pretty good. Okay, go back to 100% opacity. And want to cut the side off over here. So I'm just going to go M, the marquee, drag it across, arrow over a little, hit delete. And then maybe do the same thing up here where the tape is at. Delete that. And if we wanted to, we could also go over here where the head heights mount is at. Delete that. Give it a check from above and below. Looking good, looking good. Yep, yep. And you could tell that was done on, if I Control H to hide the grid, you could tell that was done on the tracing paper, whereas this one was done on the actual graph paper. So that's our trade-off. And you could always flip this thing as well, right? So usually in Maya, it's defaulted to the right-hand side view of the piece. So hit Control T, right-click, and flip horizontal. There we go. That looks great. And double check again that we don't have anything. It looks like, yeah, by flipping it, there's a tiny bit that is off, so we'll put the opacity down just a little bit. We'll zoom in here and we'll check our registration lines. Oh wow, it's way off now that I changed it. So there we go. And it looks like it may have spun just a tiny bit. Control T, go to your diagonal, and you could just nudge it just a hair like that. That's better. Hit enter. Go to the move tool. Looking good. All right. And yeah, so try the same thing. Control L, do our levels, get rid of our lightest lights, and maybe darken up the dark field just a little bit. You can push this back and forth as needed. I don't think we really need it for this one because we're just going to kind of draw this in digitally. And there's our wire armature, which we only need for the puppet design class, but I could just drop that in now while working on it. So we'll set that front anatomy. We'll drop the opacity down so it's not quite so dark. We'll go to the armature, set it to multiply, so it's going to darken. There's behind it, and bring this into position. There you go. The ankle feet should just touch the ground on the bottom here. Remember, you're bending the foot 90 degrees sideways, upward, and sideways, so that we could just do it in one twist. And then we're also bringing the hockey stick to the back, so as if that were from the side. And that is from the arms palm forward. So for right now, that's looking pretty good. I'll drop that back to normal. Control L. We'll get rid of the whitest whites in there, and maybe it doesn't need much darkening at all since we use nice dark lines in that one. And push that over if needed. Just trying to get the white background to be 100% white so there's nothing there to impede our view. So go back a little bit, go to marquee drag, drag down, delete, grab that little tiny black lines on the side there, arrow in, zoom back in there, and hit delete. There we go. Marquee drag again, across the top, delete, and looks pretty good. Control D to deselect, whoops. And then just to be clean about it, I'll kind of keep my deletions saying, there we go, there's another black line down here at the bottom, probably on the other page too. So go back to my marquee tool and arrow up as needed and hit delete there. Turn that off, go to this one, and let's also get rid of that harsh dark line at the bottom for that one. All right, armature is there. And set that back to multiply. Looking good. If you need to move anything like up here, if it's really got off, you could do a lasso select, go down to where the bend gradually starts, hit Control T. And used to be able to drag a pivot point down here. Let's see, I don't see where the movable pivot in the center went to, dang. But you do that if you have something got skewed a little bit. And that way, hit enter. Control D. That way we have it tilting a little bit more centered. You see it's not quite symmetrical, but that's fine. So no super precision required here. Okay, so we have that armature wire on our layer. We have the side view. We got the front view, and bring the opacity back up all the way for that. So front and side and wire frame, which is set to multiply, so the white is invisible, only the color showing. That looks pretty solid. And let's take a look next at the foot. So here's our little foot. I'll hit Control T. Oops, escape. Make sure I'm on the right layer. Control T. And as I rotate, hold Shift. That'll snap it as we go. Hit Enter. Whoop, and V. Bring it down. And let's cut off all of this extra stuff we don't need. So we definitely don't need the tape. And you could just generally get rid of the edges. They'll usually have, just guarantee you don't have any little black shadows floating around. Control L, pull the white point over a little bit until we see the whole background turn white, and then grab the darkest darks and just darken up those lines a little bit. Hit OK. There's our foot. And Here's our side view. See that we're not going to use the anatomy one for now, though, so we're going to grab the anatomy ones here and Control G, and we'll go anatomy. Go ahead and hide those, and let's grab the armature and let's drag it up to the top since it's on multiply. There we go, and let's look at the. I guess I did not bring in the other ones yet, so but there's clothes. And hair is the same one. So I think for the hair, I'll just go marquee drag and I'll just get rid of those for now. Delete. And then for the clothes, we'll do something similar. Go up here to the hair and make sure I'm in the right one. Delete that. So here's hair. Uh-oh. How did that happen? I can't even undo that. Guess I did not put that one in. So Control J, duplicate it, bring it up to next to hair, and then Control E. And then get rid of the clothes within the hair level. There we go. And then in the clothes layer, we'll get rid of the hair. That. Oops, make sure I'm in the right layer again. A little too fast. Gotta slow my roll. There we go. So there's hair. Oh, come on. Do it again. Guess so. I must have hit the undo button one too many times. Okay. Close. Control J. Duplicate. Bring it above the hair. If the hair is an empty layer, right? I just named hair. There's nothing in there. But there is this close inside there. So I'll grab that. Control E drops it down. Keeps the name of the layer below it. Marquee drag to the body. In the hair layer, hit delete. Turn back on the close layer. Go to close and marquee drag around the hair and delete the hair. Now, should be hair there. There we go. Okay, it's better. All right, Control L for the hair. So same thing, bring it over so it's pure white. Okay. One thing I didn't do there is darken up any of the darks. That it really needs too much, just leave it. Then we'll go to clothes, turn the hair off for a moment, Control L on the clothes, and we darken this up just a tiny bit. See the nice red and darker pencil, and then get rid of the whitest white areas. And our registration marks are still showing up. So we should align this okay. Go turn those off. There's the foot layer. Go to the arms, palms forward. Control L. Get rid of the brightest brights around the background and darken up some of those. Darken up some of those lines just a little bit. There we go. Maybe looks like the whitest white's not going away quite as easy as I had hoped. That's okay. Go to the marquee tool, grab whatever edges around the paper from the scan might have come through as an artifact. And then we got the little face here. Control L. There we go. Get rid of some of the lightest lights. Bring in the darkest darks. And I might not even need his body, although I do want to keep it on there. So make sure I'm in the right layer. Delete. And marquee drag across. So I'm going to clip the top tip of some of those hairs. That's all right. You can always draw those back in. All right, that looks pretty good. Zoom back out, and we have the armature still that I brought in originally. Okay, let's bring in the other parts of this. Okay, to complete this series, we have the kind of simple, my little goofy, almost like caveman, like big ankle, calf ankle guy. So these ones will go with the clothes and the hair, and still fit over the same proportions from the anatomy ones. So for these two, we'll go in here and make some new layers. So we'll go Control Shift N, and we'll say front. I'll say simple. I say graphical, but simple. There we go. And then Control Shift N, another one, and another one. Control Shift N. We'll go side underscore simple, and then another empty layer. So I just made 4 new layers. Remember, Control Shift N makes a new layer. I Control S to save as I go. Go to the folder and we'll just drag it straight in. So they'll go to the layer above the front simple one. And it's going to be this one right here. So I drag that in, hit enter, and then drop it down to the layer below it that's already named for it. Front simple, Control E will drop that into the layer below it. There we go. And go to the simple side layer above it. Alt tab over and grab that side view, drag it in there, Control T. I'm sorry, just hit enter, then Control T again. When I flip it horizontal this time, hit enter again, M. As I go, if I see something really obvious, I'll just clean it up as I go. Yeah, and it looks like I can't. Oh yeah, still smart object. Control D to deselect. Make sure you got to drop that smart object down in there right away. So I'm still on the side simple, and delete that. Go across the top here. Delete that. Let's just make the leveling process a little bit easier for us. Control D, and let's get rid of that one for right now. Control H, turn this back on. Control T, and it's gonna tilt. Looks like there's a little bit off on there. Get it right about there. Arrow over and up, up, over. There we go. Good. Hit enter. And maybe my ruler could have been off a tiny bit when I did my landmarking. That's okay. It looks pretty well centered. So let's put that below the front simple one for now, and go to the front simple one here. Bring that up and maybe drop it to multiply for right now. And maybe this simple side one here, I can drop the opacity down temporarily so I can kind of see where it's going. Make sure they match up nicely. So the front simple one, yeah, these got tilted in my scanner a little bit. So scans are almost never perfect unless you have like a really, unless you're putting that time in, and it's not worth it when you can just hit Control T and rotate right and up arrows, keys, and get those registration marks going. Looks pretty darn good. Might be tilted just another fraction of a degree that way. Hit enter, arrow key. Yeah, looks good. Go M, maybe marquee, maybe flip the top of that. Oops. There we go. That off. All right. Pretty happy with that. All the lines looks like they line up pretty good. So I'll leave that on multiply. Turn the side view up all the way so you can kind of see them side by side. Go to the move tool, hold down shift, that'll snap it. All right. Use that. All right, let's one at a time. Control L. Get rid of the whitest whites, and then the darkest dark, drag it over just a little bit, hit OK. While I'm at it, if I see any obvious cleanups, marquee drag, hit delete. Go ahead and just clean all that up for now. And since this is going to computer for the Maya and ZBrush image planes, I could really maximize the space. I might end up just cropping this whole thing down to, maybe um, to another, crop a quarter of this overall real estate. But, more spaces isn't going to hurt anything at the moment. So go to the side view, make sure I can see everything. Control L, bring it over, and then bring the darkest darks in just a little. There we go. All right, looks pretty good as far as I can see. And you can save these out as individual image planes. So if I hit Control H and I save these out, that would get, those are individual planes that we can bring in. So on this one image, I have a couple. I have this one, as well as the more graphical anatomy ones, right? So these guys. Yeah, looks like that one still is not aligned. Oh yeah, it's okay. That's to be expected. So yeah, so we have that one, and now we have this one here, simpler. Control G, simple humanoid. There you go. So I can turn that, turn those layers on, and there we go. So you can turn those off and on. You see that one's up a little higher than where we were with the other ones. Maybe I should unify that just to make my life a little bit easier. How much space I got there? Grid and a half, grid and a half. Yeah, I suppose so. Let's do that now. So go to my move tool and we'll just bring them all up with the arrow key and then back down. Easy peasy. I mean, generally speaking, you'll have like hair and horns, things like that, more likely. But either way, it's fine. I put notes and things, and this will fall. This center line below the feet will fall below the floor in your graphic where your grid is at in the 3D software. So either way, work. Put notes on top, have bottom, have more space, or put notes on top and have more space. So let's see if I can do that. Grab all of these, go to the move tool, let's hide those, and let's instead grab these ones. Because yeah, the chances are we're going to need to have space up top more likely than down below on the image, especially if you look at some of the bigger ones, if I wanted to keep them to size in there. So it'll make a difference. Okay, so that is pretty close. So we can bring the wireframe back on top again, and looks like that is positioned perfectly. Cool, I'll just leave that above all the other ones so I could turn that off. So that's on there. And if I turn on the one below it, it is also going to work for that one. See how nice? The dough in the hands doesn't quite fit, but it's okay. You know, always make changes to that one as well. All right, so let's take a look at the next piece here. So we get the arms palm forward. So arms palm forward, let's take it into the simple one. And let's set that one to multiply and go to the move tool. And when you're locked in your blend shape, sometimes it's blue and you'll notice you can't get out sometimes. You just hit escape. So there we go. So let me bring that down right about there. And I just want to make sure that is as centered as possible so you can see using the grid lines on here and where the hands are. It looks like it's not perfectly straight. So I do wish this one still had the key lines on there because I just had to tilt it. And now it's really hard for me to know for certain. I can always delete one half and just mirror it over. So that's beautiful. The beautiful thing now that we're in the digital realm, that is super, super easy to do. But let's take a look here. Back to move. I can see where the armpits are. There we go. And yeah, you'll find the inconsistencies from the drawing going there. So let's see, front simple. And you'll be probably using that one more. So for the front simple, I'll go to my line tool here and we'll just, you gotta be careful when you have the snap tool on. So we have to go here to view and we're on snap and make sure that snap is turned off. So that way, if I go in here and grab the arms, I'm just going to cut the arms off. I want to make sure that the arms indeed, where I make the line at isn't going to be too angled. So I'm going to copy it in the front and then paste it and we'll go arms. back. There we go. I think those moved. There they are. So if I go here and click that and go to my front simple and hit the delete key, there we go. And now you have back in here. Now you have the arms forward or arms back, right? So you can kind of make adjustments for how you want that to go. Let's add the inked face in there next. So I'll bring the inked face up here towards the top and Control G, and we'll call this the inked final design. There we go. And go to my move tool. Let's turn on the, make sure the front simple is working. For that to work, this has to be put on multiply. There we go. See, I can move this around. He's got a body down below, but really the body's not being used at all in this. So if I probably should just turn everything off here for a moment. There we go. And just go to the marquee tool and just focus on just the head for this drawing. Go, and I have some neck in there. So if we have our tool handy, just go in here and erase that all over. Be careful erasing with an airbrush. I don't know what you're doing. So I guess the next staying on there. I can also go to L in my mark lasso tool and make sure that I get don't have any little ghosted little floating pixels anywhere. It's real easy to miss that kind of stuff. Yeah, if I'm doing the eraser, usually we go with like a harder tipped eraser, so that way you're almost like doing negative. But what the hell just happened? That was my eraser. It switches to I can't turn any of these into an eraser anymore. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, we get so many to choose from. My drawing bar hard, elliptical. There we go. And this is my little chisel that I enjoy using. Okay, but I don't want to get caught up in cleanup just quite yet, because we're still just kind of getting our image planes ready so that we can digitally ink this piece. All right, so switch it back. Still on multiply, turn the one below it back on, go to my move tool, V, bring it over, and it should fit right on there. And we go right between the eyes, the chin, just double checking. Can't really see where the skull is on this drawing anymore since I inked it, but it's okay. And I'll zoom back just a little bit. And there you go. That's how you can stack in and register your pieces. I think on the other one we had started, what we had started doing here was making sure we had the lines clear as well as a gradient. So let's do that. So we'll go to the background, Control Shift N, gradient, BG for background, and then go to G to my gradient tool, zoom way back. And we'll start here at the, is it dark to light? I think it was. Dark down to light. There we go. And you can even move the gradient piece here back and forth a little bit if you want. I think maybe in, put another one in there, but let me undo that. Just leave that as is. Let's hit OK. And if you want to, you can hit Control H. We'll get rid of that. Let's do it back up the other way. I think I prefer that way. So you can go in here and you can actually change the opacity of the gradient, with the white background back on. So you decide the gradient if you want it to be lighter or darker. Once you're done, same thing. I can do the I want to get rid of the tool, I just Control E, I just drop it into a blank um, layer. And then I can always hit Control U and we can darken or lighten this as we go. Cancel that, and Control J, I can always duplicate it as well. And each time I duplicate, I can go Control E and drop it down. You see it's getting a little bit darker as it goes. And you can fill in where you want this. If you want this to stand out, you could fill the whole body in with gray or whatnot. We do have the other feet. We had the little, let's see, where did I put the foot at? There's foot. There you go. So this is, he's making like a little wolf boy, almost like teen wolf. So I had the original foot, and then I had the clawed foot. That was more for this character. And I was going to do little clawed hands and then whatnot. But we'll finish that off with, let's see, we can turn the head off there and turn the hair on. And let's just grab on the hair layer. Let's grab just the hair. Control Shift I will invert my selection and delete. Get rid of everything. And bring the hair down like that. And Control L. Get rid of the lightest lights. Looks like it doesn't need much of anything. Maybe darken it just a little bit, sure. Okay, and then put that on multiply as well. Control U if I want to get rid of the color, just make it black. Or you could colorize it if it has a color, and then you can just scan the hue saturation, so you go green, blue, purple. So you can really kind of play around with that. See that what's important with the hair is that you have volume to the hair, unless the hair is explicitly matted or buzz cut or like really braided down so it's super tight on the skin. You want to kind of control that. With the clothes, we could do something very similarly. So turn the hair off, grab the clothes. Let's turn the foot off for right now. And oops, those. And I have it checked on auto select, so whatever's on the screen, it'll automatically hop to that layer and grab it. So there we go. Move this around. It's looking okay. So we can zoom in. You see the sleeves are off. That's okay. That is the ground. You see that's a little tilt there. So it either my ruler was off and or it got tilted in the scanner. So enter and then move. There we go. Looks pretty good. And now we can go in here and let's see. Actually, there's registration marks. No, at the bottom of the foot. Oh, I had the soles of the foot. Yeah, that's right. The soles of the foot were off. I had them on the ground. So the ground would actually be to the bottom of the soles of the feet. That's another thing you got to remember in costume design. Remember to do that. All right, so that should work. Control L. Get rid of the super white on the background. Bring it over if you need to. Control U, change the saturation. If you need to, you could turn it into just a gray line drawing, or you can colorize it and completely change the color to suit your needs. Keep the costume clear, separate from the body and from the hair, and whatnot. All right, so it's looking pretty good. So we'll go to the blend mode on this. We'll go blend and set to multiply. And there we go. And maybe for the gradient, Control J that. And it's meant to not be so bright and in your face in Maya, so you're not have like a super white screen. But for this, so you guys can see on camera, I'll keep it a bit brighter for now, so that way you're able to see okay. And you see it was for the arms forward, so if we had palms back, of course, and then the palms back also needs to be set to multiply. There we go. And the last one, the hair, last one's the foot. So for the foot, we'll bring in the foot and we'll turn on the simple side view for just a moment, which, whoops, also needs to be set to multiply, of course. back and get those out of the way. Close out of the way. So all of this clothes and hair, I can bring this all into the simple humanoid one, so I can turn the whole thing off. And then the foot, for now, I'll go foot and then underscore Claude. So that's going to be part of the final ink design. So maybe I'll leave it in there for now. We can make a copy of it and take it out as we go. Yeah, so we'll just double check this is all the right size. So set this to multiply. And the back of the toe, back of the heel looks like it's a little tiny bit big. So let's Control T. We'll size that down. Back of the heel, front of the toe, just about right. There we go. Yep, looks good. And if it's for the regular human, looks like, oh, a little bit different size there. Okay. So we hit enter and we'll go to M. Marquee, we'll grab that foot and we'll cut it and paste it onto its own. Go foot underscore bottom. Grab this one, set to multiply and Control T. There we go. And there's the back of the heel and then the front of the toe. Just make sure it's just touching the line so we know it's the right width. And you can leave the foot like that if you want to. Just bring it down. That's one way to do it. Whoops. Go foot clawed, bring it back up. And let's go back to the front drawing. You could also have it over here to the side. That should be identical. Yep, it's identical. And you can also just kind of bring it over to the side here and then run a different image plane on it. Not important for the registration marks on this. So if I were to turn everything off, so I can then, if I grab that, and just delete the junk off of here. It's fine. That back on. There we go. And then depending on where the bottom of the foot is here, and that's what I was saying earlier, maybe it makes sense to keep more space on the bottom because you usually want to do the feet, but it's okay to put the foot up here or wherever you want. Same thing when we do the arm, the hands and the palm, which I'm going to add like little wolfy boy claws onto them and maybe change his cankles. They're not quite so big. Maybe get rid of the bow-legged curve of the leg and kind of finalize that. So this one should be pretty good, pretty much good to go. I can turn these on like that and export this out and bring it into Maya or 3D print it, make changes, color, fill, and print it out again and use it for my stop motion puppet. All right.